I'm Elizabeth Vargas, and this is iCrime. What would you do if you were falsely accused of a crime? And to make matters worse, what if the people accusing you surrounded your car with your children inside? It happened in Spokane, Washington, and was recorded from the back seat while stopped at a red light. The man driving is Lee Alvin. He's in the car with his family after going out shopping. Without warning, they find themselves trapped by an angry mob with whom there's no reasoning. Lee, along with his son Max and daughter Lexi, are trying to get on with their day when this woman stops his car.
Get your out of my way!
With the confrontation unfolding, Lee makes sure his daughter's recording on her cell phone.
Of course.
I am.
The woman wrongly claims that Lee is driving her car. And the woman isn't backing down. Lee tells his son to get the police on the phone as more people surround his vehicle.
Press 911.
Max, call.
There's now a man in front of Lee's vehicle with his hand in his jacket, clearly implying that he's got a pistol. Lee finally gets the police on the phone, and while giving them his location,
Yeah, I'm at the at the intersection of Sprague and Lucky Door.
someone else approaches the driver's window.
What you doing?
The man was later identified as Lawton Miller. Miller opens the driver's door and reaches inside, and Lee does the only thing he can think of in the moment to keep his family safe.
This is not her car.
Dad!
This is not her car. This is not her car.
Things are escalating fast as the fear in Lexi's voice explains it all.
Oh my God,
When the group of 5 or 6 people start to bang on the car's doors.
oh my God! Dad!
As Lee tries to leave, one of the men gets on the hood of his car. Lee starts to drive away, extra passenger on the hood or not, he needs to get out of there.
I got 2 kids in the car with me. I drove off because they're hitting my car and I feel threat for my life.
It all seems to calm down as Lee is able to navigate away from the mob, but Miller, undeterred, continues to pursue them.
But Daddy's on a motorcycle.
The video ends here while Lee is on the phone with a 911 operator. He's able to get to a nearby Fred Meyer grocery store where he's contacted by both the Spokane Police Department and the Spokane Sheriff's Office. But this isn't the end of the story. Gary Questenberry is a professional in situational awareness, an expert on keeping safe. Gary, this video was harrowing. There's no other way to describe it.
It was terrifying. And I actually watched this video with my wife and it made her cry just because there's children involved. The situation escalated so quickly. It's obviously terrifying to the kids and it's hard to watch.
Oh my God! Dad!
What should that driver have done, if anything, differently than what he did do?
There's one thing that I noticed in this video that I wish the driver would have done differently. He got his kids on the phone with 911. He had the other child recording what was happening as they were on the phone with the police officers. But at around 30 seconds in the video, it kind of cuts away. At that point, he actually gets past the woman on the bike who's accusing him of stealing her car. And you can tell that he's moving quickly enough to where he could have gotten himself out of that situation had he kept going.
The car is surrounded by people at a certain point, including a man who's standing directly in front of the car with his hand in his coat. I don't know if he actually has a gun or if he's just pretending he has a gun. But I mean, it's unbelievable that these people would escalate like this and threaten this man like this when there are children in the backseat.
So when it comes to mob mentality, you've got a person who makes what they feel is a substantiated claim against someone else. And now that escalates to the point where there's a verbal disagreement, there's a verbal argument. Now, people outside of that, when they see this happening, given no other context whatsoever, they're naturally going to choose sides. And in this case, they all sided with the woman who was accusing this man of stealing her car. And then because they take her side with no other context, they just jump in and try to stop this guy from driving off in what they feel like is her car. So, it escalated so quickly. There was so much going on in this video, especially with the guy who had his hand shoved in his jacket. You know, the hands are what you need to watch, because the hands are what can hurt you. That's what can kill you. So I always teach people to watch the hands when they're in scary situations like this. As soon as that guy shoved his hands inside of his jacket, to me, you're endangering my life, you're endangering the life of my children. And when you make a gesture like that, and you're insinuating that you have a firearm, I'm going to take you at your word. So to me, that would justify me. I'm not saying just plow right over the guy, but I'm going to bump him to get him out of the way. He's going to know that I'm serious, and I'm going to get around him, and I'm going to get to the safest, furthest point possible that I can from that situation, because it's starting to boil over. And now people are throwing bikes and stuff at the man's car. His children are crying. It's terrifying.
I think the most heartbreaking part of that video is when you hear the little girl pleading, drive, daddy, drive.
Right. Like I said, that video is really hard to watch, and it's hard to watch because you hear that emotion in those children. So, and as a father, as a retired air marshal, law enforcement officer, you know, my job in that situation would be to get my children away from it as quickly as I possibly can.
When he reported the incident, Lee says he felt mistreated by the Spokane Sheriff's Office, that they didn't take him seriously and made him feel like a suspect instead of a victim. That's when he turned to the internet. He uploaded the video his daughter filmed, and it went viral. People reached out to him with information on the suspects. He relayed that information to the police, which resulted in arrests. The woman who made the false accusations was charged with disorderly conduct. One of the other men was arrested on a separate warrant, and the motorcycle-riding Lawton Miller walked away with no legal consequences. Lee says they couldn't find anyone else who damaged the vehicle, and that was the end of it. So maybe you, the viewer, can help. Anyone with information on this crime is asked to call Crime Check at 509-456-2233.